Guys, the number one way you can support my channel is watching this video to the end, please. Even if you don't want to listen or watch, just leave it on play.
Welcome back to my channel for part 2 of what I've read so far in 2024. Guys, I have filmed this video 5 times. My files have been corrupted, they've gone missing, my camera has fallen and deleted the video mid recording, and for me to find a slice of time to film this without my children is almost impossible because they are both home for the summer. I'm a stay-at-home mom. There goes one of them. They're playing right now, and I decided if I'm gonna get this video done, it has to be, they're just gonna have to be present, and it's gonna have to be while I'm doing a house chore because I have wasted so much time trying to get this video done and it keeps getting messed up and I still want to do it. Before I move on to the next video, let's get to it. Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. This was a mini series, a duology, solid 4 to 4.5 star mini series for me. Divine Rivals is the first book, Ruthless Vows is the second. I will say I truly appreciated that I read this when both books were already out because I could go right into the other. This is a very beginner friendly fantasy if you're wanting to dip your toes into fantasy without having to go into some of the more intimidating, longer fantasy series out there. So beginner friendly. This is 2 journalists. We got a little bit of love and war in another realm that they're having to write about, enemies to lovers. Great series. I loved the first book and I really liked the second book, but the first book was where it was at for me. I'm going to read a quote from the first book. I don't think you realize how strong you are because sometimes strength isn't swords and steel and fire as we are so often made to believe. Sometimes it's found in quiet, gentle places, the way you hold someone's hand as they grieve, the way you listen to others, the way you show up day after day, even when you are weary or afraid or simply uncertain. So like I said, it's an enemies to lovers. They both have something in their possession that magically links them, and they don't realize it's the other person, and you go from there. It's a great mini series. I highly recommend it. Okay, next I read The Match and the Enemy by Sarah Adams. These intertwine, but they can be standalone novels. You don't have to read both of them. The Match was a solid 3 stars for me, and The Enemy was a good 4 star for me. The Match, I enjoyed the father-daughter subplot, their relationship and how he cared for her. And the romance between the 2 main characters was pretty good. It was very cheesy, which obviously when you're reading a rom-com, that's kind of like what you get, but this was a little too much. The southern dialogue, because they live in Charleston, was overkill and a little unrealistic. If you know anything about the South, or if you're from the South, or anything about Charleston, this is just not really how they talk anymore. And it was like not just a little southern twang, it was overkill, which kind of ruined a lot of it for me. So that's why I got a 3 star. Lady with epilepsy helps run a guide dog service, meets this guy, he needs a guide dog for his daughter, and that's how all that goes. The Enemy is about a donut shop owner. She is the sister of the dad from the other books. That's how they kind of intertwine, but you can read it in standalone. This is an enemies to lovers, and this is a very realistic book as far as the female lead character goes because she talks about a lot of body image issues she has and learning to love herself and trust herself, and I really loved that aspect of it. That was very realistic for I feel like a lot of us women today, and it was just really good banter romance that I enjoyed. So that was a good 4 star for me. The next book I read was The Rule Book. The Rule Book came out this spring, and this was a 3.5. It was a little boring for me. The dialogue between a lot of the male characters was very unrealistic. I don't think you would ever see a football team sitting around hanging out like this and talking like that, even if they are best friends. The relationship was a little bland. It wasn't that realistic. It was a little bland. So this got a 3.5 star for me. That's all we're gonna say. I was a little disappointed because I was looking forward to it. The next book I read was Just for the Summer, 4 star for me, maybe a little higher, honestly. I really enjoy her books. I think she does a very good job of doing romance novels on a deeper level. I actually also really enjoyed, so you have like the male lead and the female lead. They think that they are both cursed and they meet on a Reddit forum and try to help each other through that. But Her, the female lead, and her best friend are traveling nurses, and they pick their assignments together, and that's kind of how this journey begins. And it is very good. I loved their friendship, and I loved the relationship between the two leads coming together, because they were very respectful of each other. They had a lot of deep bonding conversations. It wasn't superficial and just cheesy. I don't know, and the scenery was so beautiful. She does a great job of making you picture where they're at on this little island in the lake. And yeah, this was a good, we'll call it a 4.25 for me. Emma of 83rd Street, an adaptation of Emma by Jane Austen. This was a 2-star for me, and that, I feel like that's being generous. I feel like the only reason it even got 2 stars is because of the New York scenery. Other than that, I did not like it. It was an entitled young girl. The friendships were annoying. Her just whole dialogue was, I don't know. I didn't like the characters. 2.5 star. I can't even honestly believe I finished it. All right, The Sicilian Inheritance. This was a 3-star for me, and I even feel like that is being generous. I think the only reason I even gave it 3 stars is because you're going between the past and the present. In the past, you were getting a lot of Sicilian history, learning a lot about that culture and what that was like back in the day. So I enjoyed like that part, but a lot of the present tense stuff I didn't like. The main lead character, she was very annoying, very whiny. I mean, you got a free trip to Italy and you're just like complaining the whole time. The longer this book got, the more long-winded it got, the more unrealistic everything that was happening seemed to get. They just could not keep my attention, and 3 stars. Okay, so we're gonna try to wrap up the book review while I'm in the car. Hopefully I don't die because it's 98 degrees outside and I turned the air off so you guys didn't have to hear that. Where was I at? Okay, Alice Network, we talked about Almost DNF. This Summer Will Be Different. Okay, I think I was talking about This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This was a 4.5 star for me, mainly because the vibes. Prince Edward Island, the oysters, the chemistry between the male lead and the female lead, absolutely loved them. The only reason I didn't give it a 5 stars is because the best friends just kind of annoyed me a little bit. Like, I loved their relationship, but their secrets, they felt like they had to keep from each other because the other person would be so mad at them, were kind of ridiculous. I was like, you guys have been best friends for years. You're still going to love each other. Let's get over it. Okay. Other than that, though, I loved the vibes. I loved, yeah, I mean, I literally went and ate like a whole peck of oysters after I read this book because the vibes were just there. Like, The Summer Will Be Different, highly recommend if you want the good summer vibes, a good relationship. Their connection was good. They had good dialogue. Yeah. Anyways, loved it. I literally have Prince Edward Island on my bucket list now. Okay, the next book was Paradise Problem by the co-authors Christina Lauren. This was a 4 star for me. This was a predictable romance, as most of the like rom-com genre is. This was, well, I don't even know, yeah. It had those cheesy elements. It was predictable, but like that's kind of what we get into these summer romance reads for, right? You're dealing with wealth, fake relationships, fake marriage, good banter. I think you will find yourself really rooting for this couple because the wealthy man, his family is absolutely terrible. So you'll find yourselves rooting for them and their relationship and wanting them to come out on top because you don't want his family to. But it was a good book. This was a 4 star for me. Then I reread Beach Reads. We don't need to talk about that. I feel like most people know what Beach Read is. It's another Emily Henry book. This is 4 star. It's funny because like when I first read that book, I would have thought it was like a 5 star, but rereading it, I'm like, okay, that was like a 4 star. It still does not top Happy Place for book lovers for me. After that, this book, The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This was like a 7 out of 5 for me. I was so blown away at how much I love this book. I don't think I can put into words to give this book justice. I think if you were like me, I read, it's like a fantasy domestic fiction. I don't know. Reading the summary of what the book is about, I was like, I'll read it because it has good reviews, but I don't think this is going to be my jam. I love this book so much, and I am ecstatic that I just saw she has a new book coming out on tomorrow on July 16th, and I look forward to reading that so much. This book is like fantasy, but not fantasy like Fourth Wing or ACOTAR or anything like that. It just kind of has some magical aspects to it. We are following a teacher who wants to adopt a foster kid in her classroom. They have built this amazing relationship, and she had a hard childhood. He's having a hard childhood, and they just really bond. But this author
is what helped both of them get through these hard aspects of their childhood together, and he is releasing his last and final book in only one copy, and it is a game on an island to compete for the book, and whoever wins it gets to do whatever they want. And I know I said I was going to keep this short, but this book is so magical. I wish I could make everyone read this book. It is really good. So highly recommend. This is like one of my best 5-star reads of the year. And then my next book was also a 5-star read, but this is Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan, and it is a summer romance. It is a beautiful book. I love this author so much. She does a good job at doing mature romance novels. I really enjoyed this book. She was a stay-at-home mom. She was trying to find herself again. I found so much of that absolutely relatable. She was going through a separation and meets this guy who happens to be her best friend's brother, but he's really helping her believe in herself again and find her, and he does a lot of this through skateboarding, which I just thought was a really unique twist. I don't really find that in a lot of books. Normally it's like the banker, the finance guy, the rich billionaire, like whatever. He is a lawyer, but that's not really who he identifies as, and he uses his ability as a lawyer to help others, not to really be like this rich crazy guy. But he uses skateboarding to help a lot of people and to help her believe in herself, and her relationship with her kids is really beautiful. Like, I loved watching her relationship with her older daughter Bloom. She had a relationship with her old next door neighbor that was really beautiful. She was just a beautiful character and was finding herself again and learning to love herself again, and I just loved her so much. When I'm quiet, I can hear my heart yearning for impossible things. I want a perfectly pared down home, and I want to hang on to every scrap of the past. I want to break from my kids without missing a single minute of their lives. I long for a partnership, and I long for freedom. I long to be enmeshed with someone without losing myself. I want all of it. And I think if you are a mom, you can relate to that so much. Loved it. Okay, the next book was Swan Song. This is Ellen Hildebrand. I am also a huge Ellen Hildebrand fan. I've read so many of her books and I love so many of them. But you guys, don't get mad at me when I say this. This was a 3.5 star for me. Maybe 3.25. This felt like stuff she had already written before. I think one thing that really made this book special was the fact that I had recently visited Nantucket, so I got to reimagine the places she talks about in her books because I have been there now, like, to most of them. She still knows how to write the scenery. It is all great, and I think if I hadn't read some of her other books, this would have probably been a great read for me, but like I said, it fell flat because it felt like a lot of her other books. You not only were going between the present, you were going through all these days that led up to the present crime that they're trying to solve. Not only are you going between 2 different timelines, but then you're also going through like 5-6 different characters' perspectives. So it was a lot going on, which is not a big deal if you've read her books before, but it could be if you haven't. And it just felt done before. So I think this was a great decision for her to be done with her Nantucket series. This is the last Nantucket book for her. And I enjoyed the scenery, but other than that, it felt a little flat. And then the last book I want to talk about is 7 Summer Weekends. This is an easy, short, contemporary romance. I liked this. I gave this book 4 stars because even though it's a simple romance, I really liked that the main female character who inherits her aunt's house on this beach island, the house is already rented out on the weekends, and her aunt passed away, so the people that are coming to her house and visiting her are people that have always rented from her aunt and had a relationship with them, and it's watching their little story of how they knew her aunt and her former relationship with them, or helping her learn about her aunt. I don't know. I really liked these little sub stories in it, and 7 Summer Weekends. And then obviously there is the romance plot, which was pretty good. Not like amazing, but it was good. I don't know. It was just a very good light summer read that I enjoyed. 4 stars easily. Okay, so that is going to be it for part 2 of what I've read so far in 2024. I've tried to film this video 500 times, like I've already said. So hopefully this is it for this video, and I don't have to re-record it again. And I am ready to film new videos talking about books that I have read since I wrote this list down, because I've got some real bangers in there. I've got some good ideas for videos, I feel like, for book talk. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments if you've read any of these, what you thought, or what your favorite 5-star read of the book has been, or if you've read a book that you thought was going to be a 5-star and it really flopped for you. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.